She said, "If you really loved me, you'd accept my past." I said, "Cool, then respect my family's traditions." I took back the ring, then found the watch, the messages, and the lies. Now her ex's wife knows too. When I proposed to Celine, I genuinely believed I had found someone I could build a life with. We'd been together for over 2 years, had weathered our fair share of ups and downs, and I thought we were aligned on the big things: trust, respect, communication. She'd always been a little nostalgic, kept old birthday cards and photos in boxes, and I never really minded. But 2 months into our engagement, I noticed something new, something she hadn't worn before. It was a thin silver chain with a small oval locket, nothing flashy, but it stood out. She wore it often, almost every day, even when we went out somewhere formal. Curious, I asked her where it came from. "Oh, this?" she said casually. "It was a gift from Jasper. From years ago. I just like it. It's part of my history." I paused for a moment. "Jasper, your ex?" She nodded, sipping her tea like it was no big deal. "Yeah, it's not about him. It's just a memory." I let it go in that moment, but the more I thought about it, the more it sat wrong with me. It wasn't just a shirt she kept for comfort or an old playlist. This was something she chose to wear, on her body, every day, while engaged to someone else. Later that week, I brought it up again, calmly. I told her it made me uncomfortable, not because I was trying to control her, but because it felt like she was holding on to a romantic symbol from her past, while promising me a future. Celine didn't take it well. "So now I can't wear a piece of jewelry I've had for years because it makes you insecure?" she snapped. "I'm not throwing away my history to make you feel more like a man." That hit hard. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I simply nodded. "History matters," I said. "It shapes who we are." The next day, I visited my family's lawyer and moved the $12,000 engagement ring, a family heirloom from my grandmother, into a safety deposit box under my name. That evening, I told Celine exactly where it was. She looked at me, confused. "Why would you do that?" "I'm honoring my own history," I said. "We have a family tradition, keeping heirlooms safe until the wedding day. That ring means something, just like your locket does." Her face fell, then twisted into something more bitter. "You're just being spiteful." "No," I replied calmly. "You said that piece of your past is meaningful to you. I respect that. So I've decided to treat my family's piece of history with the same care." She tried to brush it off at first, assuming I'd cave. But over the next few days, she asked multiple times about the ring, when I'd bring it back, if we could take new engagement photos with it. Each time, I answered the same. "It'll come out on our wedding day. That's the new tradition." Her tone changed quickly. What started as defiance turned into frustration, then outright anger. She accused me of being manipulative, of punishing her. But I never once told her to take off the locket. I just matched her energy. It wasn't about control. It was about clarity. I started paying closer attention to what else might be part of her history. Something about her whole demeanor had shifted. She was defensive, emotionally distant, checking her phone more than usual. I had a sinking feeling there was more to the story, and I was determined to find out. But I kept things calm, polite, measured, because sometimes silence is louder than any argument. After the engagement ring went into the vault, Celine started acting like someone I didn't quite recognize. She wasn't openly hostile, but the vibe had shifted. She stopped making real plans for the wedding, avoided questions about guest lists, and would abruptly change the topic if anything related to our future came up. That's when I started paying more attention. One night while she was in the shower, I walked past the dresser and noticed the drawer where she kept her keepsakes slightly open. I hadn't gone through her things before, but something told me to look. Inside were a few cards, definitely not for me. One said, "You'll always be my person, even if we're miles apart, Jay. Jasper." Right beneath it was a man's watch. It wasn't mine. Heavy, black leather strap, with initials engraved on the back, K.R. I didn't say anything that night. Instead, I waited until she left for work and started checking her online activity. We shared a Netflix account and Amazon Prime. Her continue watching list had a few titles I'd never seen her play when we were together. Curious, I checked the IP log. Someone in Austin had been logging into her accounts regularly. Jasper lived in Austin. I kept digging, using old passwords I knew she reused. Her email had flagged messages from a Qley, someone she'd met at a work conference 6 months ago. The messages weren't graphic, but they were emotionally intimate. One said, "Wish you could talk like this with the guy you're marrying. He doesn't get you like I do." I screenshotted everything. Dates, messages, IP logs, even the photo she sent Jasper last month of her wearing that damn locket. I confronted her 2 days later. She tried to downplay it. "Those are just old emails," she said. "You went through my stuff? That's controlling. You're engaged to me, and still in contact with 2 exes." I replied, keeping my voice steady. You call it history, but it feels more like an ongoing story. One I wasn't supposed to read. Celine got defensive immediately. I'm not sleeping with them. I'm allowed to have friendships. You're paranoid. You're also hiding gifts from them. That's not friendship. That's a secret. Later that evening, her parents asked to meet. I agreed. They came over, visibly uncomfortable. I knew they were hoping to mediate, maybe to defend her. But when I calmly laid out what I'd found, emails, timestamps, the watch, the locket, and even her online activity, they were silent. Her father cleared his throat, but didn't say a word. Her mother just looked at the floor. Celine crossed her arms, eyes red but angry. So what? You want to call off the engagement because I kept a few memories? Fine. I won't fight for something if you're this controlling. I let the silence sit for a moment. You want the ring back? She asked, almost mockingly. I shook my head. No. The ring is staying in my family. It was never yours. It was a promise. One I can't keep anymore. She didn't respond. Just stared at me, unsure if I was bluffing. But I wasn't. She walked out that night and didn't come back. And still, part of me hoped she'd reflect. That she'd try to talk through it honestly. Instead, the next day, she posted on social media. When your fiancé loves control more than love itself. I didn't respond publicly. But I wasn't going to stay silent forever either. Celine's post blew up faster than I expected. Dozens of her friends commented with heart emojis, calling me toxic, manipulative, and a few even slid into my DMs telling me she deserved better. I didn't respond, not at first. I didn't need to explain myself to people who didn't know the full story. But when she publicly wrote, he took back the ring because I wore a necklace. Imagine marrying someone that insecure. I knew I had to clear the air. So I posted a single statement, along with a few redacted screenshots. There's a difference between honoring your past and holding on to it in secret. The locket was just the surface. What lay beneath it was an emotional connection to two exes, hidden gifts, private messages, and dishonesty about who she was really communicating with. The engagement ring was never revenge. It was a family heirloom meant to represent trust and commitment. And when those things disappeared, so did the future we were building. I wish her well, but I don't regret walking away. I didn't name her. I didn't shame her. But the truth has a way of resonating. The tone online quickly changed. One of her old college friends even commented on her post. Wait, didn't you tell me Jasper still messages you sweet things sometimes? Another girl, someone who used to date Kyle, messaged me privately. Kyle's married. Or was. His wife needs to know. I left that decision to her, but I heard later that Kyle's wife did confront him after seeing the screenshots. They're in the middle of a divorce now. A week later, I got a call from Jasper. I'd never met him, never planned to. But he sounded more embarrassed than anything. She always told me you knew about the locket, he said. She said you were fine with it. If I had known you weren't, I would have asked her to stop wearing it a long time ago. I told him I appreciated the honesty. That locket? He ended up donating it to a local domestic abuse shelter's charity auction. Said it deserved a news story. Celine tried contacting me twice after everything settled. First, a text. Can we talk? Just once. No drama. Then, a voicemail. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I think about what we had every day. I know I messed up, but maybe it's not too late. I never responded. Some things aren't about anger. They're about peace. I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity. And now I had it. The engagement ring still sits in the family vault. My sister once joked that it's cursed, but I don't think so. I think it served its purpose. It taught me that love without honesty is a ticking clock. A year later, I met someone new. Her name is Elise. She doesn't wear old tokens from past relationships, and she doesn't romanticize emotional affairs. What she does is simple. She shows up. She listens. She's present. Sometimes we talk about the past, not to dwell, but to understand it. And that ring? It's waiting. Not as a reminder of Celine, but as a promise I'll only make when I know it'll be returned in kind.